welcome back. Well, let's start off the segment in Kenya, where the central bank governor says the country's interest rate cap was holding back the economy, but the bank still forecasts that growth will speed up to 6.2% in 2018 from around 5% last year. Now, the bank on Monday held its benchmark lending rate at 10%. What will this mean for the Kenyan economy? Let's talk to George Bodo, head of banking research, EcoBank Group Kenya. Good afternoon, Mr. Bodo. Thank you very much for coming through to us.
Good afternoon.
Now, the central bank on Monday left its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 10%. Was that widely expected?
Yeah, it was widely expected. It was a widely expected decision, and the basis for the decision was the fact that a number of key macroeconomic factors were well anchored. That is according to the central bank. The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee. And some of the key issues around the anchorage is gravitates around the inflation. The annual inflation is still below the Treasury's target. It's still below the Treasury's upper band. And then we've had a significant and prolonged calm in the foreign exchange market, which is always one of the key observation point for the NPC. Even despite the elections, we had a prolonged period of calm. There is a slight uptick, slight disturbance. Then generally, if you look at it, then the exchange rate curve has generally been smooth over the past 1 year. So this is one of the bases for the decision. But partly, the third issue is also the fact that the monetary policy decision is now being held hostage by the interest capping law, which is known as the Banking Amendment Act 2016. To a certain extent, to a large extent, the central bank is held hostage as to the extent they can manipulate the CBR, because anything they do to the CBR has a direct impact on the cost of lending.
All right. Now, this cap, of course, has been on since September 2016. As you said, that's set at 4 percentage points above the central bank's benchmark rate. Now, how has that fared so far? And so far, how has it impacted on banks' borrowing?
Okay, it hasn't fared very well. As the central bank governor said yesterday in his press conference, the economy is credit starved, and it's credit starved because of supply side constraints. Demand side is quite well, it's quite healthy rather, but the supply side has had serious issues to the extent that banks have refused to lend, and I think that the credit structure in the economy maybe is a bit artificial, because banks, a number of banks, actually all banks, have made a deliberate decision because they are unable to effectively price risk due to the cap. They've had to redirect the liquidity towards central government lending in the form of treasury bills and bonds. And if you look at the statistics, private sector credit growth year-on-year as of December was about 2%, and lending to central government has grown almost in excess of 20% year-on-year. So it just tells you that the liquidity is being redirected to treasury bills and credit bonds at the expense of lending to the real economy. And this is part of the thing that the governor was saying continues to squeeze the economy. So it hasn't gone well, to answer your question. It hasn't gone well, it doesn't look well this year.
All right. Now, despite the challenges that comes with the cap of the interest rate, the central bank governor is forecasting a growth rate of about 6.2% in 2018 from around 5% last year. Now, is this rather ambitious or over optimistic considering the rate cap?
Well, I'm not an economist, but it looks a bit lofty. The projection of 6.2%. Real GDP forecast for 2018 looks a bit lofty in my assessment. For the simple reason, if you look at other projections, they're well below that. If you look at, for instance, IMF's latest economic outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa, they put the 2018 growth forecast for Kenya at about 5%. Treasury has just released the latest medium-term budget policy statements for 2018-2019. And the base in 2018 growth at about 5.6%. So the central bank coming up with 6.2%. I think They didn't expound on it, but it appears a bit lofty compared to the projection from the other houses.
And what is the outlook on Kenya's monetary policy environment in 2018?
I think, as I said before, the monetary policy outlook, the decision curve, it's sort of a bit flat because of what I've explained, that there appears to be, the Monetary Policy Committee appears to be held hostage by the Bank Amendment Act, and they didn't offer much guidance on the policy parts for 2018. But I think that I personally expect the central bank to remain, to take a neutral stance on a number of occasions this year, for the simple reason that the efficacy of monetary policy transmission will be impaired by the Act. So, on that basis, I think they will remain neutral on a number of occasions, unless there's significant downside to their anchorage. And one of the biggest forces of downside in my assessment going forward over the next couple of few months is energy prices. We've seen global energy prices go up, and even locally, we've seen palm prices are up almost 3% month on month. So this usually has a feedback effect in the system, a better than 30-day lag. But this is likely to be a source of a risk. And I don't know how. I think essentially, if you have an uptick in consumer prices, it's going to present a policy dilemma for the central bank, given the fact that they also have an act to, and they're held hostage by the act.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Bodo. George Bodo is the head of banking research, EcoBank Group in Kenya. And in Zimbabwe, the new president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, says his government is considering building reserves of gold and diamonds to back the eventual relaunch of the country's own currency. The nation abandoned the Zimbabwe dollar in February 2009 after an economic collapse saw inflation surge to about 500 billion% after exports slumped and international lenders had withdrawn lines of credit. This resulted in the central bank printing banknotes with a face value of 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars. While the adoption of the use of a basket of currencies dominated by the US dollar in 2009 initially stabilized the economy, it also meant that the nation ceded control of monetary policy as the tender of neighbors such as South Africa and Zambia depreciated. Zimbabwe's goods became uncompetitive and vulnerable to substitution by imports, and that led to the collapse of many manufacturing businesses. And with that, we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimezi Obi. Welcome.